All right, today's lesson, we're going to jump ahead a little bit, is from 5.5, which is the next lesson we're going to do after this current chapter. It's on Pythagorean theorem, and Pythagorean theorem is for right triangles. And so hopefully you've done some Pythagorean theorem in the past, but we have a right triangle, denoted by the little box in the corner, that means it's a right angle. And the side opposite the right angle is called the hypotenuse. Okay? The other two sides, we call those legs. And the two legs, we represent those with A and B, and the other side is always C, the hypotenuse. So the Pythagorean theorem is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And A and B are the legs, and C is the hypotenuse. So when we solve these kind of problems, and you need your calculator for this, and so we're going to start with this one first. Okay, so on this one, we're actually looking for the hypotenuse. So again, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And so I'm just going to plug in, that's my A, that's my B, and that's my C. So that's 10 squared plus 24 squared equals C squared. So the next step would be to simplify our exponents. So 10 squared is 100. 24 squared, I'll get my calculator, it's 576. And that equals C squared. So next thing would be to add those two up to solve for C. So that'd be 676 equals C squared. Now again, I don't want to know what C squared equals, I want to know what C equals. So to undo a squared, you take the square root. And again, your calculator is what you need for that. Square root of 676 equals 26. So C equals 26, and that's my answer for that side, the hypotenuse. Notice on question number 1 here, backing up, question 1 gives us the hypotenuse, and we're looking for B. So this one, if I'm doing A squared plus B squared equals C squared, I get 20 squared plus B squared equals 25 squared. Okay, so now we're looking for the one that's on the other side. So we still start by evaluating our exponents. So that's 400 plus B squared equals 625. Again, you can just type that in your calculator. If you don't have a square button, you can just do 20 times 20 and 25 times 25. Now our next step to solve for B, just like a normal equation, is to get B by itself by subtracting 400 to both sides. So B squared equals 225. And so just like the last problem, the last step, to undo the square, you take the square root, and the square root of 225 is 15. So B equals 15. Okay? On this one, it was 26. All right, we got one more to do. Not all the time does it come out as a nice and neat answer. So on this one, I've got A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And again, which side is my C is always the side opposite the right angle. So 14 is my C squared. It's always the biggest side also. So that's 14 squared equals A squared plus 12 squared equals 14 squared. Again, evaluate the exponents. A squared plus 144 equals 14 squared, which is 196. And again, to solve for A, we got to get rid of the 144 to both sides, so subtract 144. And I get 52. So A squared equals 52. So this time, when I take the square root, it's not going to be a whole number. So take the square root of 52, and I get A equals 7.2111, and it goes on and on and on. Okay? I'm guessing the direction, follow the directions, but if it says round to the nearest tenth, my answer would be 7.2. The last thing for today is called the converse. All that means is the opposite, okay? So when we're looking at A squared plus B squared equals C squared, we know that it's already a right triangle, so this is true. The opposite is also true. If I know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared, then I can prove that it's a right triangle. So that's what we're going to do down here. They give us 3 sides that could possibly be a right triangle. And so we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to see, well, does it work out? If I plug those numbers in, does it in fact equal C squared? Does A squared plus B squared equal C squared? If it does, then these would be the sides of a right triangle. If it does not, then it would not be a right triangle, and that's just called using the converse. Remember, the hypotenuse is always the largest side, so this would have to be my C. On number 4, it's 3, 5, and 7. 7 would be my hypotenuse. Over here I got 15, 8, and 17. 17 would be my hypotenuse. So we check. Does 3 squared plus 5 squared, does that in fact equal 7 squared? So that would be 9 plus 25, does that equal 49? Well, 9 plus 25 is 34. 34 does not equal 49. So these three sides, if the triangle had 3, 5, and 7, it would not be a right triangle. Now I can just abbreviate a little bit, not right triangle. Okay, so it's not a right triangle, and that's showing my work. On this one, does 15 squared plus 8 squared, does that in fact equal 17 squared? And again, does it equal? That's what we're asking. So a little question mark in there. So 15 squared is 225, 8 squared is 64, and 17 squared is 289. So again, does that in fact equal 289? Well, double check. 225 plus 64 is 289. And so it does equal 289, and so this would be a right triangle. Okay? If you have any other questions, try to email me, and I'll try to help you out. Go and stop it.